Peace and blessings, beautiful souls. You are now tuned into Power Podcasts, and I am Brandi L, author of Moonshine for the Soul and other books. You can find me on Twitter at Soledad Francis and on Instagram at Brandi is Winning. Most of these podcasts can be found on YouTube and SoundCloud, hashtag Power Podcasts, but please subscribe to Power Podcasts on iTunes and Podomatic.com, and of course the fabulous SoundCloud. So today we're talking about the effects of thinking differently, terms and conditions of thinking differently. Ladies and gentlemen, gods and goddesses, thinking differently will enable you to win and keep winning. Thinking differently is the lubricant to help you play at a higher level. Be that on your job, running your own startup, as an artist, producer, or creative. Certainly, if you're a photographer, professor, screenwriter, musician, chef, lawyer, or ghostwriter. Do you hear me? Thinking differently welds power. Thinking differently will make you own any room you walk into and will make you the most attractive man or woman someone has ever dated. We all have that one that it might have been the one that got away, who you just, your thoughts always go home to, right? It makes you attractive and sought after in ways mere beauty, intellect, or wealth just can't. We all remember the unique souls, right? The unique souls who think differently are the ones who go down in history as legends. Those are the ones who, people continue to talk about years and years and decades after they, transition on. And to me, it takes a completely different mindset to stay successful as opposed to what you must do to build something to be successful. All of us are geared toward, if we have success, we're supposed to be rewarded for it. Not necessarily, that we must continue to do things even better than we did it before. Follow me? So we tend to rest on our laurels when we think we've arrived. And, I hate to break it to you, but you never arrive. You've never arrived. You're always arriving. We're always in flux. Everything on this planet is in flux. Everything is in motion. Everything from the particles and molecules and atoms of our bodies to the sky, to our lives, to what's going on in the skies, in the universe. Everything is always in motion, in rotation, in flux. So nothing is stagnant, which means, nothing is set in stone as is. Everything is always, changing. So even your weight, you may look in the mirror and think, this is who I am. Yeah, that's where you are and who you are at that moment. But you can be something completely different, 2-3 years from now, right? Even 2 or 3 months from now, just all depending on your behavior, your habits, and your mindset. So, on one of the worst things you can say, in my humble opinion and in my professional opinion, one of the worst things you can say and or embody is, that's the way we've always done it. That's the way we've always done it. That's everybody who's ever done this. This is how they've done it, and then what's really funny is when people try to put a professional spin on it, majority of people do this, or that's not, to try to give it some heft, some weight to it, right? Or they try to add statistics to it, or they try to, but That type of mentality, that type of mindset fosters a sense of complacency. And I believe that over time, that sense of complacency will cause you to lose your edge. It's like, little by little, you start falling off little by little. Nobody falls off overnight. Currently, the topic of conversation amongst a lot of people on social media is Kanye West right now. Whether you believe that he is a genius, a renegade, someone who thinks differently, or whether you think he is just a maniac, like he's just crazy, he's in the sunken place, etc., etc., etc. But the point is, you may think he has fallen off. A lot of people are saying, he fell off. Like, he's not our man's like that, right? So it takes time, though. People fall off over years. It's you stop going into the gym just a little bit. You stop shooting all 100 shots a day and doing your 500 squats and push-ups a day to you may go a couple times a week, couple times a month. And that's where you fall from glory. You fall from grace slowly, right? One of the first things that happens when you begin to think differently, amidst those who think very vanilla, is you begin to slowly drift apart, right? For no apparent reason, you just begin losing interest in the people, things, activities, etc. that used to move you. It's like bouncing out. Bouncing out is when your energy no longer aligns with that of the people or situations around you, right? You vibrate yourself out because your desires and your needs have shifted. A great example of that we see very blatantly and very loud is the transgender movement. Anyone who you see who has undergone a transgender situation, you will see that a lot of the things that they used to adopt and embrace, they slowly begin to let that fall away as they become this newly transformed transgender individual, right? Good, bad, or indifferent, their vibration has changed. So they've bounced out of what they used to be into. And so, that same thing is going to happen when you begin to think differently. Slowly, all the things in your life are going to be affected by that. And I think that settling is the default habit we fall into because it's safe, right? It keeps us feeling secure. It feels good, right? The sense of security, the sense of something that's familiar. It's very warm. It's very comfortable. It's very cozy, right? It feels very good. But security is a misnomer, okay? There actually is no such thing as true, authentic security. Because again, we live on a planet, in a galaxy, in a world, in a society that is constantly in flux on every level. In every area of our lives, everything is always in flux, right? Everything is always changing. So how can you have something secure? How can there be security when there is nothing that is solid, right? Your highest life really is waiting for you, but you must grow into it, and that's going to require you thinking differently. First, you've got to learn how to think differently because everything in society wants you to be uniform, right? The white picket fence, our subdivisions, right? Everybody driving a sedan, right? Everybody working a 9 to 5. We all think alike. Good is good, bad is bad, right? 2 plus 2 is whatever society says it is. We're all beginning to even find beauty in the same things and gravitate towards the same types of music or the same types of ideas as the rest of the hive mind, right? So here's how you rewire your thinking. So greatness becomes automatic, and how you simultaneously honor your gifts. Number one, and it's just 7 bullet points, and I'm going to let you go enjoy the rest of your day. But number one, always be innovating. Always think like an innovator. Now, innovators excel at connecting the unconnected, right? Think about the minds behind McDonald's, the minds behind Apple Computer, the minds behind Netflix, Uber, Airbnb, right? Ask yourself, what's missing? What can you do in an innovative way that would drastically make someone else's life better, easier, or help them to be more efficient, right? More effective, right? Number two, what does it mean to be iconoclastic? Like, you have to really embrace that and really unpack that. You have to sit with that for a while, if you will. In its rawest sense, it means to break the rules, right? All the greatest minds in history broke the rules. I don't care if it was Jesus Christ. I don't care if it was Mother Teresa or Gandhi or Dr. Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, El Hajj Malik Shabazz, right? Marcus Garvey, Nelson Mandela, right? Idi Amin, right? Even if it means breaking the rules in a bad way. Even those chaotic souls have gone down in history. It may be for negative things, but we still have their names in our mouths, right? Hitler, right? The mind of Charles Manson, right? Or Son of Sam, Jeffrey Dahmer, right? So what does it mean to be iconoclastic? To be an iconoclastic artist, one would have to recognize what is regarded as typical. One thing we talk about in art, and then either destroy or reestablish the norm, the stat quo. Iconoclastic artists are innovators and renegades. That's how they find their tribe in this world. Where are the renegades? Where are the weirdos, right? Where are the artists? Where are the mermaids? Where are the gypsies, right? Where are the empaths? I would even add. It's all about inventing your own shit and using the tools you already have, but using them in a totally unique and innovative way. Number 3, challenge cherished beliefs. Challenge cherished beliefs. Stephen King used to say, kill your darlings. Right? What can you edit out of your narrative that has been holding you back? Because we all have a part of our narratives that is one of our biggest stumbling blocks in the ways and spaces that we hold ourselves back. Influential provocateurs are made, not born. The same way you were taught how to speak the King's English, or how to tie your shoes, and how to make a sandwich. You can learn to be influential and provocative in the same way you learn those things. Michael Jackson had to learn how to sing and dance at the same damn time, right? But you must always challenge the status quo. Challenge the establishment. Challenge the norm. Trouble the waters, right? The last thing this world needs is more bootlickers and yes men. Fuck that. We don't need that, because that's what perpetuates the system. Even systems that we say, we don't stand for, ways in which we see where conflict can emerge, right? The system of patriarchy. But no man is going to step aside and say, hey, we need to pay these women better. And until we pay these women better, we're not going to stand for the way things are. They're not doing that because they're benefiting from it. Privilege, right? So we don't need any more people to continue to go with the flow and to think like everybody else, because that only perpetuates the system as it is. The way to bring that system down is to begin to change how it works, how it flows, or destroy it altogether, right? Study the renegades, number 4. Study the renegades. Who are the renegades? Well, everyone's list is going to look slightly different, depending on your age, your race, your heroes, and your upbringing. But whoever, the renegades are in your eyes, study them. Read their autobios. Peek into their habits and quirks. I think of folks like Richard Pryor, Charles Darwin, Madam C.J. Walker, the late great Whitney Houston, Salvador Dali, Leonardo da Vinci, Mozart, Steve Jobs, Frida Kahlo, Charlie Chaplin, Michael Jackson, Ernie Barnes, Warhol, right? Walt Disney, Michelangelo, Elon Musk, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Gordon Parks, the Gucci family, right? Renegades, Enzo Ferrari, Nikola Tesla, Flojo, Erykah Badu, Muhammad Ali, Mandela, Shaka Zulu, Mansa Musa, right? Even Ahmad the Hugging Saint. Renegades, iconoclasts. And don't study them to imitate them, but study them to understand how they played the hand that they were dealt. Because see, the one thing about studying the greats or studying your heroes and, those who you like to ascribe to their level of success is you're leaving out the fact that you don't have their life. So case in point, as a woman of color, as a black woman, I can look at my life and in no way is my journey ever gonna look like a Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or even an Elon Musk, right? Because those are white males and they move different in society than I do as a woman of color or a black woman, someone who is coming from a very impoverished background. They have to take that into consideration when you compare your life to a Mark Zuckerberg or a Bill Gates, because you didn't have the same access to things that they did or do, right? And so we have to study how did they handle and play the hand they were dealt. And then you can look at your life and be like, well, if they were able to do that and flip it like this, then surely, I can move mountains, right? Number 5, learn how to get to the intersection of innovation, iconoclast, genius, passion, and utility. How you like me now, right? That intersection. Because a lot of times, we talk about, well, what do you know how to do? Well, you know how to do a lot of shit, right? You know how to do a lot of shit. Some shit you know how to do may not even be legal. That doesn't mean it's going to make you a better person or grow you or help you reach your highest life, right? Your highest self, your highest and best self is where you find that intersection of taking shit to another level with the hand you've been dealt, with the tools you've been given, with your genetic makeup, with what you're passionate about, what you love to do, what gets you pumped, When you mix that with how can society benefit from this? How can the rest of us eat off of that or win from that or be better for that? Oh, you're gonna move to next level living. The effects of thinking differently. Number 6, 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours. What are you willing to do or learn how to do to the point of utter perfection? What are you willing to put in work doing? I'm talking blood, sweat, and tears. What are you willing to invest 10,000 hours in? Time is money. Put your money where your mouth is. 10,000 hours. And like most skill-based activities, right? If we slog away at it and practice over and over and over again, right? What does that repetition do? The task becomes not life-taking, but life-giving. I tell my father all the time, he's going to outlive everybody. My father was into heavy weights, lifting weights and weight training, strength training. And he was always very buff and strong and pumped, those big muscle head dudes. And because of that, it saved his life. It has enabled him to live a very rich, long life, even though he has other bad habits, he drinks and things like that. But he has built his body in such a way that it's almost impossible for sicknesses and illnesses and things, chronic disease and things that take out another person who's less, strong and muscular and fit and built, take them out of here, right? And so it's like he was willing to invest 10,000 hours plus in building his body, and that has served him. That has brought him a very long way. And not only that, the more you do something, so all my writers know what I'm talking about. All of my athletes know what I'm talking about. Even if you're a workaholic, I'm especially talking to you if you're a workaholic. You know that the more you do what you do, the better you get, the easier it is for you to finesse it. It's to the point you go to work and it's like you can be doing 3 other things and you still get your work done immaculately, right? Because you just have been putting in so much work with it. And sometimes that's when the most creative ideas pop out, right? That's when you start thinking differently and you start getting these ideas and you start getting glimpses of what could be, how it could be, how things can be different, right? How things can be better for you, right? It's all about repeat. That's when the muse shows up. That's when inspiration shows up. It's like in running. I run all my runners. Any of my runners, you know that when you're running, after a certain amount of time, when you first start, you're like, fuck, trying to catch your breath, get your breathing going, get your rhythm going. It hurts, it burns, right? Your legs are burning, your shins are burning, your calves are burning. But then after a certain mark, for some people it's after a mile, for some people it's after 3 miles, for some people it's after 10 miles. After a certain point, the endorphins kick in. The runner's high kicks in. And it's like a high you can't even understand. It's a high I can't describe. It's not a high induced from a narcotic or hallucinogenic, but it's a high that comes from your natural endorphins, from your natural serotonin, the feel-good molecules popping off in your brain. That's when it shows up. And so what are you willing to do for the rest of your life, even if you never got paid for it? Although I believe that anything you pour your blood, sweat, and tears into will result in you getting paid. And lastly, number 7, How many people can you put on? How many people can you support? And instead of thinking solely of yourself, think of others. Being solution-minded and results-oriented, orientated in all that you do. Because see, most people, it's really easy to just complain about shit and to state facts. Like, yes, we know this society is fucked up. Yes, we know there is racism. We know there is sexism. We know there's ableism and classism and patriarchy, right? Yes. What are we going to do about it? Yes, we know shit is not fair. Yes. How are we going to fix it? How are we going to make it easier for those coming behind us so they don't have to go through what we had to go through or what we're having to go through? How do we make it easier as we rest on the shoulders of those who've come before us? How do we make it easier for those who come behind us, after us, for them to have life easier and for them to stand on our shoulders and go taller and further and farther, right? Solution-minded. The most successful and financially savvy souls are where they are at, in part because of how many people they have helped. Again, good, bad, or indifferent. In spite of what you might think of some of the wealthiest people in this world. Some of them have gotten it, got it by ill-gotten gains. Some of them have just earned it. Some of them have bled, sweat, tears for it, right? But all of them, in part, they've impacted a lot of people. And that can mean in inventing a utility. Car makers. Those who manufacture our washing machines and personal computers and lamps and batteries and band-aids and pain medication. Right? It can mean they've just simplified our way of life. If you can make someone who is more influential and more powerful than you, right? If you can make their life simpler, they will compensate you. I promise you. This is an effect of thinking differently. So I want to thank you for your time and thank you for listening. Thank you for your presence and your essence. I want you to know that I appreciate you from the bottom. And we are just so happy you chose to rock with us today. But no matter what your current circumstances, if you can picture and imagine your life the way you want it to be, if you can think about it being better, then you can indeed create it. Break the pattern. Start it today. Peace.